prayed, made, slayed to date, cause everything laid and everything great and everything you understand and everything right, and cause it's Stonsey time, it's me. Hello everyone, my name's Stonsey Boy and welcome back to Reading with Stonsey. Today we're going to be reading pages 40 to 60. Where is my bookmark? Well, thank God I know we're reading pages 40 to 60 today. Yeah, it's going to be 20 pages, so not that bad. About a 30-minute episode, if that, or a 20-minute episode of that. Yeah. So it shouldn't be that bad. I found my bookmark. I was drawing the bookmark for last book that we read. I finally got that done. If you guys want to check that out, go to the Discord, and I post it every new bookmark we make, every new update to the bookmarks we make. It's really cool. Join the crew if you want, because, yeah. And, yeah. So, without further ado, let's begin. Where am I at? Sorry. So, without further ado, let's begin. Sam sighed. Sure, Mom. She finally set the spear down and left his room. Closing the door behind her, Sam felt the heartbeat start to slow down. He sat on his bed and picked up the spear. Moondrop stared at him with his red eyes. If she only knew how truly great you are, she wouldn't be giving me a hard time about you. He felt a strange vibration coming from the spear again and felt the urge to give the dream sphere another go, even though he'd already had the session of that day. Maybe just a quick 10 minutes, he thought. And then he heard his mom washing the dishes and singing along with the radio. He decided to wait until tomorrow. He might be too distracted with his mom at home. During the night, he tossed and turned. He could sense the sphere sitting beside him and there on the little table. He didn't look at it, but he knew it was there. The sheet felt itchy and warm. He kicked off the sheet and rolled onto the side. Moondrop stared right at him. For a split second, he thought the red eyes flashed bright. He blinked and the light was gone. He probably was just half asleep, but he still didn't feel uncomfortable surge to turn the dream sphere and slip back into the familiar lucid state. He reached out his hand to push the on button and again stopped himself. Sam blinked rapidly at the irrigation. His chest felt tight. He clicked on the table lamp that sat up in the bed. Picking up the dream sphere, his shoulders were stiff and his legs were restless. He couldn't relax, but the sphere, he always felt calm. He really needed to get that right now. He shook his head. No, I can't wait until tomorrow after school, and then when I'm home alone. He got up, unplugged the sphere, and placed the globe in the closet and closed the door. Tomorrow, he murmured as his eyes drooped. He just needed some sleep. Sam went to school that day in the bad case of brain fog. He was irritable, and he wasn't sure why. In class, he felt disconnected. He sat in government class, and he was supposed to be taking notes, but he just stared at the whiteboard the entire time. He was aware of Mr. Taylor speaking of the class, but he couldn't focus on his words. Earth to Sam, hello, Jules called to him. Sam blinked, huh? Jules snapped his fingers in front of his nose. Wake up, class is over, dude. The bell rang. Space out much? Oh, he looked at the classroom. The other kids were already up, heading to the door. What's the matter with you? Nothing. He got up and grabbed his backpack from the floor. Jules accidentally bumped into him and he's walking by. Sam scowled. Watch where you're going. Jules turned and scowled back at him. You watch where you're going. Then he bumped into him intentionally and left the class. Sam had to step back in order to not fall over. Jules had bumped him on purpose. Sam stormed his locker, grabbed his lunch, and slammed the metal door closed. Hi, Sam. He jumped. Lydia was standing next to him. He sighed. Oh, hi, Lydia. Didn't see you there. Is everything okay? Sam had been adjusting his backpack, but now looking at her suspiciously. Yeah, why? Her eyes widened. He took a step back. You look a little upset is all. Sam shrugged. Just tired today. He wasn't upset. Was she okay? Her lips curved upward. Yeah, school can get tiring, but, I was thinking. Yeah, well, he said, interrupting her. I gotta go. He walked away. Oh, okay. Bye. As Sam walked to the bleachers, he wondered why people were suddenly interested in how he was acting or feeling. Normally, people didn't see him or care to talk to him. Now he wanted to be left at home. It was just like people were up in his business. He sat on the bleacher in a row below Rad. How's it going, Sam? His friend asked him. Fine, but it wasn't going fine. Sitting in the sun, he realized he'd forgotten his hat and his sunscreen. He didn't feel like making a sandwich that morning, so all he had was fruit and probably wouldn't fill him up. Today was turning out to be a total downer. You alright? You look a little tired. His shoulders went stiff. I said, I'm fine. Rad lifted his hand up. Alright, cool. Jules butted in from the stance, leaning against the side railing. He's just spaced out in government class, too. I think the dream sphere is making him seriously wig out. I think it's time to pass it to the next person who can handle it. Me. No, it's not making me do anything. I haven't even used it much, Sam said. I didn't sleep well, as if it's any of your business. You'll get your turn after the week is over. Now drop it, he turned to Rad. Every day he's on my case. Give me the sphere. Share the sphere. He hasn't had the sphere yet, and he's already wigging out about it. Bogart laughed, and Jules didn't like it. You're the one wigging out, Jules spat out. You're probably freaking obsessed with it. You probably use it all day, every day, like a dork that you are. I'm not a dork, Sam snapped back. You're the dork who can't wait his turn. Bogart snorted. Look at Sam being all grouchy. Does the sphere make you grouchy? Maybe I could pass my turn. I like being in a good mood. Sam's hands clenched to his fist. I'm not grouchy. Larry said, denial. Sam stood up. Just shut up. I don't even care if I use the sphere anymore or not. I'm not going to use it today either, just to prove you wrong. Then hand it over, Jules said. It's at home, jerkwad. What'd you call me? Jules stepped closer in the bleachers. You heard me. Let's all calm down, Rad said. Always the peacemaker. Take it easy, Sam. Everyone's just kidding around. Jules, relax, man. I think everyone's a little on edge today. Sam's eyes began to hurt again. If I'm on edge, it's because sometimes I feel like kidding around with you guys, okay? Sometimes I don't want to be a target for you to pick on or tell me what's wrong about me. Sometimes I just want to be left alone. He grabbed his lunch bag and stomped down the bleachers to his hat. To be alone. He could be somewhere or the other seniors whispering about him as he stormed off. What? He snapped at a guy staring at him. The guy just rolled his eyes. Sam's shoulders were moving up and down with his breath, and he knew he needed to calm down. He found a small corner against the school building and slid into the ground. He was tired, and yeah, he was grouchy, but he didn't need his friends telling him that what he already knew. He took out a banana, peeled it, and ate it. Then he took out his apple and bit into it. He closed his eyes and tried to calm down in order to stop the anxiety clawing at his chest. He wished that his dad's CD player, but he didn't. So he pictured himself sinking into a dream state with the sphere, where he was always calm and at peace, where no one could bother him or tell him he was acting the wrong way, where he was free from anxiety, where life was safe. The end of school couldn't have come fast enough. Sam turned off the phone and walked home. He didn't meet the guys in the parking lot. He felt off. He wasn't sure what the problem was. He could totally blame the guys. They were the same, always cracking a joke about someone, often about Sam, but usually Sam brushed it off. Usually Sam avoided confrontation. Today, he couldn't seem to do that, because of the lack of sleep or because he hadn't eaten enough. He stopped at the mini mart and looked for something to eat. But everything was processed and loaded up with sugar and chemicals. He eyed an energy drink, hesitated, and then walked to the coffee machine instead. He needed a quick energy boost. He brought a coffee and drank it on the way home. He shuddered because it tasted bad, but the caffeine could hopefully snap him out of the brain fog. He walked by the neighborhood shopping center. Cars drove by on the busy street. A kid rolled next to him on a skateboard. He saw an ad for Freddy Mega Pizza Plex at a buck stop. He looked at Gramlock Freddy, Roxanne Wolf, Glamrock Chica, and Montgomery Gator, all together looking happy and cheerful. He walked farther and he saw snow globes in the window for sale. Then the next window of the hanging bells. Everything reminded him of Dream Sphere. Moondrop's Dream Sphere. He had wanted to use the sphere while he was at school. He wanted to use it right now, but he was trying to prove his friends to himself that he could stop whenever he wanted. But he wasn't wigging out on it. That he wasn't obsessed. Yeah, he was irritable, but if it was another session with the sphere, he knew he'd feel better. The anxiety would be completely gone. The irritation would disappear. Isn't that all that mattered? Why would he deprive himself of happiness just because of what Jules thought? He didn't have to know. Everyone had the right to feel good, to feel happy, even Sam. And that's what he would do, make himself happy. He finished off the bad coffee, tossed the cup in the garbage can, and jogged to the rest of the way home. Then straight to his room. He was breathing fast, and he licked his dry lips. He dropped his backpack, kicked off his shoes. He opened the closet and put the dream sphere back on the bedside table where it belonged. He took off his glasses, set his watch for 20 minutes, and pressed the on button of the dream sphere. Moondrop spun, the lights flashed, and Sam felt his motion level out and slipped into the lucid dream. He was exactly where he meant to be. When his alarm went off and he came out of this dream state, he felt relieved and calm. Although this time he felt tired, pretty much nearing exhaustion. There was no energized feeling like when he first started using the sphere. He wasn't sure why. Was he using the dream sphere too much? He wondered. But then he disregarded that right away. Everything is just fine. He remembered to turn on his phone and a bunch of text popped up. His eyes widened. Oh no. He'd forgotten what he's supposed to help Rad with his yard work. He squeezed his eyes shut. He hated disappointing people, especially Rad. He rubbed his head hard and then quickly texted him. I'm so sorry I didn't feel well after school and went straight home to rest. I should have texted you and let you know. I can help you tomorrow. Promise. Rad texted back. No worries. I got Jules to help me. Sam's shoulders sagged. Rad was the only good friend, and he didn't want to mess things up with him. He got up since his mom would be home soon, but he felt like he would lay around for another hour or two. He went to the bedroom mirror and he blinked. It was paler than usual, and he actually had some dark circles under his eyes. His hands were fists like he was ready to fight someone, and he was deliberately unclenched them. Rubbing his palms against his thighs, he had a passing thought that maybe the dream sphere was making him exhausted. But then Rad's words came to his mind. Come on, Sam, what's could go wrong with a spinning globe with lights? He heard his mom come through the door. He took a breath and passed a smile on his face. But it felt unnatural, so he stopped and looking happy and went out to meet her. Conversation at dinner with Mom was nearly non-existent. Dinner was simple, soup and rice. Sam was tired, and if Mom was quiet, she was also tired. Mom got up to put on her bowl and spoon in the sink. Sam followed and then turned to go to his room. Sam, it's your turn to do the dishes, she told him. Sam sighed and turned to face her. I'm too tired tonight. Can't you do them? She lifted an eyebrow. We made a deal a while ago to take turns, and it's your turn. Can't you make an exception? No, I'm tired too, and I do the dishes when it's my turn, whenever I'm not tired or not. And usually so do you. We waved a hand. Fine, I'll do them tomorrow after school. She sighed. You know, I don't like the kitchen to be a mess. It's not my problem, he snapped. That's it, Mom crossed her arms. What's going on with you? What do you mean? I mean, with the bad attitude. It's not like you. Usually you don't like the dirty dishes to sit because the bacteria build up. That was true, but this moment he didn't really care. What's really going on, Sam? I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, you don't? Look at your shirt, huh? Look down at your shirt. Sam looked down at his shirt, his eyes widened. What's wrong with this picture, Sam? His mom walked toward him and pinched the sleeve of his shirt. It's wrinkled. You never wear wrinkled clothes. You went to school like this? I forgot it, he said quietly, pushed up his glasses. He stormed past him in his bedroom, waved an arm to showcase his room. Your bed is a mess. Your backpack is thrown on the floor along with your shoes. Your clothes missed the laundry basket, and you never do that, Sam. Never. So I'm going to ask you something I expect an answer. Are you doing something that you're not supposed to be doing? He stepped back. What? No, Mom, no, I'm doing nothing bad, I promise. Then what's going on? Was something happening in school that I don't know about? Is this about a girl? She stopped over Dreams Fair. Is it that thing? What the heck is doing it to you? An irrational wave of upset feelings overcame Sam. No, Mom, just stop and leave me alone. No, whatever's going on, I want it to stop, and I want this thing gone. Do you understand? Give it back to Rad. Sam raised his arms in expiration. I will. Just don't worry about it. Sam, stop getting on my case about every little thing. When you understand what things will go a lot easier. His mom stormed out, and Sam went into his room, slamming the door on her in a raging accusation. He threw himself on the bed, tossed his glasses, and growled on his pillow. He turned his head, and he was face to face with Moondrop. You get me, don't you? Even though his mom was home, he set his wrist alarm, pushed on the dream sphere, and stared into the spinning lights. Mom, I'm going to stay home from school today. He had a strange, uncomfortable dreams, and he tossed and turned all night. He didn't understand why he couldn't help sleep very well anymore, but it would have been the coffee yesterday in the mini-mart. Had he stopped drinking soda or coffee for a reason, and now he remembered why. Mom walked to Sam and felt his head. What's the matter? You not feeling good? He shrugged his shoulders. I didn't sleep well last night. I don't have anything major going on at school. I'll email my teachers for today's classwork and make it up. Mom sighed. Look, I'm sorry about last night. We were both cranky and took it out on each other. It's just been a long week. He nodded his head. I'm sorry too. I've just got a lot on my mind. Honey, I know you've been missing Dad a lot right now. Sam's eyes burned. It's been hard lately. I know, Sam. She blinked quickly a few times. A day off wouldn't hurt. Just take a break from the weird ball as well, okay? Sure, Mom. It's video games and binging television all day for me. She smiled. Now, I know you're not feeling well and you're agreeing with me when you're having the ball back to read soon, which was true, and it made his chest feel a little tight just thinking about it. He crossed his arms against his awkward feeling. She kissed his cheek. Good. Take it easy and rest. A few minutes later, she left for work. Sam felt a familiar twinge of guilt lying to his mother, but she just wouldn't understand. The dream sphere was a miracle. Yesterday, he had more lucid dreams than his dad, woven more memories than he'd forgotten. It felt like he was waking up for years they'd lost. He needed this. He needed his worries, his anxieties to disappear. Sure, his energizing part of the experience had completely disappeared, but that was okay. He could live with that. He went straight to the bedside table, where the dream sphere sat. He hadn't eaten breakfast, and he didn't feel hungry. His stomach wasn't growling, so he'd be okay until lunch. This time, until after he took off his glasses off, he lay down in his bed and got comfortable. He set his watch for 20 minutes. He turned to his side and gazed to his sphere from his bedside table. He pushed the on button and the lights flashed across his eyes. Moondrop began to spin, waving his hands. Sam dropped to his lucid dream state rather quickly. He was 8 and riding a motorcycle with his dad. The motor echoed around him, and it was the last ride they had taken together. They were on a road trip, just the two of them. The weather was warm, the leaves were turning yellow, falling on the road. Sam felt his calmness that everything was all right. He was safe and protected with his dad. Dad pulled off the red stop and the picnic tables of the restrooms. Other families were sitting at the other tables. Mom had Dad made them sandwiches and packed snacks and water. Dad set the goods on the table for them to dig into. Sam, Dad started to say that eating lunch. I'm glad we can have these rides together. Me too, Dad. You know, as you get older, I want you to experience things that you're out of your comfort zone. Don't be afraid to try new things. Go on adventures with your friends. Explore the world. Discover what makes you happy and experience it as much as you can. Sam nodded, a mouthful of a sandwich. Okay, Dad. Above that, I want you to remember to make good and responsible choices. Be a strong young man and do what's right. Then make a choice in life. There will be always repercussions, good or bad, depending on what actions you take. Uh-huh. Dad smiled. You might not understand now, but hopefully you remember the conversation when you need to. When you're older, it will be important. You'll be there to remind me there later, right? Dad chuckled. I'll remind you, son. Sam frowned as he relived the memory. He done the opposite of what his dad wanted for him. He became a cautious kid and barely tried anything new or adventurous. It all started when he lost his dad in a motorcycle accident. He'd known motorcycles were the safest form of transportation, but hadn't thought anything about bad could happen to him or dad. But it had. He tried to be careful from here on out, and whenever he felt out of his comfort zone, his anxiety kicked in. His dad had been a sense of safety. Without him, Sam would build himself a cocoon. He felt that if he made informed and cautious decisions, he'd be safe. But what he realized was that he was depriving himself of new experiences that would turn out okay. Experiences that would bring him the somewhat joy he lost when Dad was gone. But he didn't want to be a disappointment to his dad. He wanted to be the kid that Dad could be proud of. He wanted to feel secure enough to take actions to do fun things like go on spontaneous adventures with his friends and ask to go to prom maybe. He felt like he had been a strong young man who made good choices that his dad wanted him to be. Not that when he was planning to reach out and every move in his life was feared something he could go wrong or something bad would happen to them. The alarm on his wristwatch sounded. Beep, beep. Sam tried to reach to click the dream sphere, but it was as if he couldn't lift his arm from his bed. Hey, he thought, what's the matter with me? The memory shifted. He was back at their old house. He was at the kitchen table eating cereal before going to school. The television was on in the living room. Dad was saying goodbye before he headed to work. See you later, buddy, he told Sam and ruffled his hair in his hand. Sam nodded his head. "'Kay. Love you, son." Sam was too enthralled with the TV to answer, and in the distance he heard a motorcycle rumble. No, Sam said, trying to pull himself out of the lucid dream. He didn't want to experience this memory again. The memory altered. Sam watched his mom picked him up from after elementary school and take him to the hospital. She was crying. It's your dad, Sam. There's been an accident. What happened? Is Dad going to be okay? Mom hadn't answered because she hadn't known the answer. Sam's chest felt tight, and he was suddenly scared. More scared than he ever felt before this. Stop. I don't want to see this. Sam shook his head and pulled himself out of the lucid dream state. He could barely lift his arm and fell back into bed. It was like his body was too exhausted to move. Finally, he swung an arm just over to turn off the sphere. He sat up and blinked and took a breath. When his mom burst through the door, Sam jumped from his bed. Mom! Mom was disheveled and crying, but she looked younger. Still, it's your dad, Sam. There's been an accident. What? Sam's eyes widened. He jerked his head toward the dream sphere. Moondrop was still, and then the little jets were slowly turning again as lights flashed from the sphere. Sam looked around in the bed and saw himself still in trance. What's going on? What's happening? He looked back at his mom and sucked into a memory. He was back at his younger self, watching his mom pace the floor in the hospital. She kept wiping her fresh tears in the crushed tissue. The doctor walked in the room. His eyes were tired. Miss Baker, there's nothing more that we could do for your husband. I'm sorry for your loss. Mom had crumpled before his eyes, and Sam had started to cry for his dad. Stop. Let me wake up for real this time. With all his strength, Sam jerked himself up from the bed and slammed his hand down the dream sphere button to turn it off. He was breathing hard. A sheet of sweat had sprouted from his forehead. His hands were clenched into his fists, and he was trembling. He looked at his arms and opened his hands. He was really awake this time. He rubbed his face. He felt awake. He stood up, and he was weak from off balance, so he sat back down. He held his hand in his hands, and it throbbed with an ache in the center of his forehead. Both of his eyes stung. His mouth felt dry. He wasn't sure how long he dreamt, but it had been over 20 minutes, and he sat to set his alarm. Something was definitely wrong, Sam realized. Since using a dream sphere, his sense of reality was blurring. He thought he'd been awakened for the dream state when he really hadn't. It was like his control was slipping away. Not only that, he was changing. He was breaking promises and skipping school. He'd been irritable and his friends with his mom. He always lying to everyone. The urge to use the sphere was always there. Then he was at school. When he was lying in bed at night, it was as if he couldn't stop using it, couldn't stop thinking about it. This isn't good. As his dad warned him about making responsible choices, and it was time to start. He'd give the sphere back to Rad today. He forced himself up. He walked to his mirror, and then he took a double take. His eyes were bright red in the outer corners. He moved closer to the mirror. Oh my gosh, he whispered. His pulse fluttered. It was blood in both of his eyes. He read out blood vessels sometimes breaking in his eyes and strained and irritated. He paced back and forth for a moment, his chest tightened. What was he going to do? What was his mom say? Would she blame the sphere? It's okay, he murmured. My eyes will heal. I just have to get the sphere back to Rad. I have to go back to normal, and then I'll figure out something to tell Mom when she doesn't freak out. He took a breath and went to the kitchen to make himself a healthy, gluten-free, dairy-free chicken salad and fresh fruit. He wasn't hungry, but he forced himself to eat. When he showered to wake himself up, he had put some drops in his eyes, just in case it would help. He ironed his shirt and pants and got dressed, then grabbed the dream sphere and headed for Rad's home. It was time to let go of Moondrop's dream sphere for good. Sam knocked on the front door of Rad's house, but no one answered. He heard Brutus' deep bark, and he knocked again. Sam tried the handle. The door opened. Oh, someone forgot to lock the door. Brutus came to the threshold. Woof, woof, woof. Sam held up the hand. It's okay, boy. It's just me. It's Sam. Brutus tilted his large head. He seemed to recognize Sam, and then he turned and ran, or waddled off. Rad, you home? Sam called. He walked to the house. No answer. Hello, Mr. Donson? It's just me, Sam. I came to drop something off for Rad. He didn't like anyone was home. Sam glanced at his watch. These guys had gotten out of class. He was too early. He took out his phone and dialed Rad. Hello? Hey, Rad, I'm at your house. I'm returning to the Dream Sphere. Sam, I wondered where you were today. Did I forget to lock the door again? Yeah, it looks like. My mom's gonna freak. That's cool, though. We've got to do a study session together, all of us. So kick back and wait for us. I know Jules is ready to turn for the sphere, too. You guys are heading here now? Should be there in about 25 minutes. Gotta drop off a paper to the teacher, and then we're coming to my house. We'll see you there, okay? Great, sounds good. Sam clicked off the call on the sphere, Rad's coffee table. They took a breath on the couch. He started to tap his fingers on his knees and he eyed the sphere. In the quiet of the house, he thought he heard the dream sphere vibrate. He picked it up and felt it warm. And it felt warm. Or was it just imagination? He shook his head and set the sphere back down on the table. He crossed his arms and uncrossed them, and the lure of the sphere seemed to pull against his better judgment. He stared at Moondrop. 25 minutes. I think it's perfect time for one last experience with you. His eyes stung and he blinked. His emotions were a little all over the place. Just once more. I don't want my last lucid dream to be with you when I lost my dad. And then he gently rubbed his eyes underneath his glasses. I wanted to be good. Actually, I wanted to be the best one ever. He stared at Moondrop at the plastic figure inside the globe. He actually hear his request. Then Sam rolled his eyes. You can't really hear me though, right? You didn't set his watch. Rad and the guys will be there soon and bring him out of the dream state. He took off his glasses and set them on the table. Then lay down on the couch. He switched the dream sphere and gazed into the bright spinning lights. He stared at the thing about his school and remembered what his dad had said. Wow. Accidentally left on a cliffhanger again. This was definitely one of the more crazier stories for this book. I would have to say, like these like I said, the Tales from the Pizzaplex books are always better than the Fazbear Frights ones. I will forever say that. What I'll also say is that today we read pages 41 to 60, and next time we're going to be reading pages 61 to 71. Simple 10 episode page. Or simple 10 episodes. What's also simple is that it's time for... Today we are going to be learning about the Scottish deerhound. I really am curious where they get the names for these animals. Because this doesn't look like a deer. It doesn't look... Well, it looks Scottish. And... you know, it's just a very strange name. It don't look nothing like a deer. Deers are big and scary and up to 200 pounds. This is just a dog. But before I can make fun of anything, or have a strong opinion on something, I should always, and you shall too, or you should too, always learn the history of something, especially if you're really into it, and especially if it's government, because it helps you build credibility, makes you look smarter in front of your mom, your dad, your sister, or the picture of the Benjamin Franklin inside of a jar for some reason. I really don't know why that's there. But, well, it's a card deck, but yeah, I really need to redo my, organization. But it makes you look smarter in front of all of them, and intelligence doesn't necessarily lie in knowing things, although that is a big factor. It also comes into knowing things and then teaching others about them. Because true intelligence can be found within teachers, but students can also become the next version of the teachers. And in my opinion, teachers are the smartest around. Even scientists are smart too, because they also teach others about science. Now, the history of the Scottish deerhound is that among the most aristocratic of breeds, the Scottish deerhound has been valued by nobility for its prowess in running down deer, at least since the 16th century. Confusion regarding names makes tracing its exact history before that time difficult, but it probably is a very ancient breed, deriving from ancestral greyhound roots. Like its smooth-coated greyhound relative, the rough-coated deerhound could not be owned by anyone ranked lower than an earl during the age of chivalry. As the stag population declined in England, the larger rough-coated dogs suited for the hunting stag became concentrated where stag remained plentiful, namely by Highland chieftains. This bird hoarding resulted in the decline of the breed in the mid-1700s, following the collapse of the clan system of Culloden. Further decline occurred with the advent of the breech-loading rifles in the 1800s because hunting deer with guns supplemented coursing in popularity. By the mid-1800s, however, a concerted effort to restore the breed and proved successful, and although its numbers were never great, the quality of the dogs was high. The first Deerhound Club was formed in England in the 1860s, around the same time as the first deerhounds were exhibited in dog shows. The First World War again decimated the breed's numbers because most of the dogs had been the popular property of a limited number of large estates, most of which did not survive the war intact. Since then, the deerhound has remained low in number but high in quality, a classic in every sense. Such a classic, such a collectible. But I want one of these collectible. I want a classic. So, what's the temperament of them? Are they good with my kids? Though it's fragile and, it might as well be a relic. Is it good with my kids? Or are the kids going to break them easy? Well, the temperament of the Scottish Deerhound is that it's mellow, low-key, and easygoing. A gracious and well-mannered addition to the home. Outdoors, it loves to run and chase anything that moves. Indoors, needs plenty of room to stretch its soft surface. It's independent but willing to please. It's extremely sensitive. It's amiable toward but often reserved with strangers. It is good with children, other dogs, and usually other pets, although it may give chase to strange animals. Now, you know they're good with kids, so what's the upkeep? How do I keep this dog as ancient and beautiful and as a relic as it is? Well, the upkeep of the Scottish Deerhound is that it needs a good amount of daily exercise, either a long walk or a romp in a safe area. Although physically suited to outdoor living in the temperate, cool climates, it prefers to live inside with its family and needs human companionship. Regardless, it needs soft bedding to avoid calluses. The crisp coat needs combing 1 or 2 times weekly. Some scissoring is optional to neaten up straggling hair, plus minimal stripping around the face and ears. Now, if you're a child, please cover your ears. If you're an adult or a teenager who owns a Scottish Deerhound, please grab your notebooks, for we're going to be learning about the health concerns. Now, your major concerns are gastric torsion, cardiomyopathy, and osteosarcoma. Minor concerns are cystinuria, atrophy, allergies. They're occasionally seen with hyperthyroidism and neck pain. The suggested test when you take them to the doctor is cardiac and cisternia, which I think is just pelvis. Their lifespan is 7 to 9 years, not long, but relics are relics. And a note from the Encyclopedia of Dog Breeds reads, note, sensitive to barbiturate anesthesia, which is, it seems to be a common thing with hounds with long hair. Now, pretend you don't see those pictures in front of you. What is the form and function of these dogs? I don't got a kid, so what is it going to do for me and not for my family? Well, the Scottish Deerhound has a body like that of a greyhound, but larger in size and bone, enabling it to run at great speed using the double suspension gallop without sacrificing strength and endurance. Its trotting gait is easy and true. The hair is harsh and crisp and about 3 to 4 inches long on the body, ideally close lying. Such the coat imparts the weather and dirt, resistant quality, and essential asset to cold, damp climates. Now, for the final part of today's episode, we have the tier list. 5 is best, 4 is better, 3 is average, 2 is worse, and 1 is the worst unless it comes to grooming. Now, energy levels out of 2, so worse than normal. Exercise requirements are out of 3, so pretty average. Playfulness is out of 2, not very playful. Affection level is out of 3, so average. Friendliness towards dogs is out of 4, better than most. Friendliness towards other pets and strangers is out of 3, so, pretty average. Depends what the owner wants. Ease of training is out of 2, so that's pretty easy, easier than the average dog. Watchdog ability is out of 1, so can't see very well. Protection ability is out of 2, which is surprising. Grooming requirements is out of 3, which is not good. Cold tolerance is at a 3, and heat tolerance is at a 2, so it can't take the heat very well, but it can take the cold just like any other dog. The weight of a male Scottish Deerhound, a healthy Scottish Deerhound is the healthy weight of a male Scottish Deerhound is 85 to 110 pounds, and a female is 75 to 95 pounds. The height of a male Scottish Deerhound is 30 to 32 inches, but averages 32 inches, and a female is at least 28 inches, but averages 30 inches. The next dog we're going to be talking about is the last of the hound group, and, just to be kind to you, I'll tell you what it is, because it is the one we'll be learning about next episode, which is good news, because next episode we're only going to be learning about 10, we're only going to be reading 10 pages, so, And then after that episode, we're going to have a weird little short break, so we can do a video on the whole hound group, because that's how that works, and yeah. So, yeah, hope you guys have a super fantastic, wonderful day. Be polite, be efficient, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed today's reading, and I'll see you guys next time.